Hello, everyone. My name's Steve Porter, and I'm a candidate for Herndon Town Council this year. Um, what I'd like to start doing is each Wednesday, although the time may vary somewhat, is every Wednesday doing a brief campaign update and also talking a little bit about what happened like at the town council meetings, which are Tuesday nights. So um, try this format. Hopefully it'll take off and hopefully people will find it useful. Feel free to type any comments or questions over in the Facebook Live chat area, and we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about last night. So last night was the first town council public hearing of September. For those of you who don't know, the council generally meets 4 times a month, 2 work sessions, and then 2 public hearings. Now, ironically, last night had no public hearing items in it, so um, we didn't really hear from anybody other than the council. But there were a couple interesting things that came out of it. Um, First of all, they have extended the state of emergency, which was anticipated, but they've also taken away a lot of the restrictions. So the council will start dealing with more normal items of business rather than simply those which were absolutely critical for the continuity of government, which is how they've been limited since, I believe, sometime in March. So that's a good thing. And also they are reintroducing general public comments, which I think is a great thing. For those of you who haven't attended meetings in the chambers, normally at a public hearing, there is a section of a meeting towards the beginning where the public can come up and just tell the council whatever they want. Anybody can spend 3 minutes to, present a concern to the council, comment on general stuff going on, ask the council questions, although they don't typically answer right then. So that's something that's been completely missing for the last 5-ish months, right? When they were virtual. So starting not next week, which will be a work session, but the week after, which will be the next public hearing, we'll actually have general public comments again as part of the meeting. So I really do hope people will take advantage of that. Um, as you all know, I'm very, very big on engaging the community, but in order to be engaged with the community, we sort of have to have a two-way dialogue going, right? And so if you don't actually tell the council what your concerns are, it's really hard for the council to try to do anything about them. The other things they did were pretty straightforward. They extended the leases for public property that's currently being used for outdoor dining. That's through the end of November. If you look at the list, you may be going, but what about this restaurant or this restaurant that's not on the list? Well, only the ones who actually are using either public streets or public parking lots are governed by this. So if they're a part of like a World Gate or the Pines or some of these other development areas, that's between them and the landlord, basically, whether they can use that space. So this is mostly the downtown businesses, the Breeze. Jimmy's, I don't think, had to do much with it because he already had some space. Um, but anyway, it's those type of places. And they're also talking about, and I do support this, looking at how to extend those type of things. So rather than just being a state of emergency thing, we can have more outdoor dining in good weather, even if we're not under a state of emergency. So that'll be something the new council will have to take up in 2021, but that was a good thing. The other things that came up were they reappointed someone or appointed someone to one of the boards. That was consent agenda type stuff. And they also set the calendar for 2021. And again, nothing really, shift a few meetings here and there to take care of certain issues and scheduling, but it's you can look at the clerk's report and see what it is, and it's nothing major. The one really interesting thing that came out of it, though, was there was actually a closed session. Now, I'm not a member of the council yet, so I have no idea what happened in there, but they disclosed it was a closed session to discuss matters related to the disposal of publicly held property in the downtown. Well, how that basically translated, it was about Comstock and the downtown redevelopment. They did not report anything out and they took no actions. They do have to report out if they take actions within the meeting. So my guess is it was a update to the council on what was going on and maybe a request for some non-binding guidance from the council on the behalf of staff. So hopefully this is a good sign and it means we'll be hearing more about an eventual groundbreaking and actually getting this project really rolling, which we've been trying to work on for roughly 10 years now. So um, that would sum up the town council last night. Again, nothing particularly controversial or anything. I don't think on there. I certainly didn't think anything was a really interesting, juicy piece. I wish I knew more about, as I'm sure you do, is what happened in the closed session. But that's just the nature of closed sessions. So on the campaign trail, Labor Day typically kicks off the high gear stage of most campaigns as they chug into November 3rd in this case. Um, so I'm happy to say that a lot of my literature came in late last week. My yard signs came in and I'm starting to get those distributed. I also spent a fair amount of time going door to door and talking to people and distributing the literature. I do want to stress, and I know there's some concerns about that, that I'm a paramedic. I'm very conscious of the health concerns. So I want to keep my community, my colleagues, my patients, my family, my volunteers, everybody safe. So when I'm going door to door, I'm wearing a mask, I'm wearing it appropriately. I ring the doorbell or knock on the door. I step back 6 to 8 feet, allow people to answer. We have a discussion, hopefully. If they don't answer, then I just leave the literature and move on. But I am being very, very cautious. And I would encourage you, if you do run into campaign canvassers who aren't, please let the Fairfax County Board of Elections know. I'm not trying to rat anybody out, but we have been contacted by them, and it, they don't actually have any enforcement power on this. So it would basically just be a way for them to reach out and, hey, we got some concerns about you. Can you be a little more careful? Um, so yeah, that was the campaigning stuff. This week, I will be putting my yard sign out at the farmers market tomorrow. You were allowed to put them out during the farmers market. You have to take them down at the end. So you probably have seen a bunch of Democrat Party signs, particularly for federal races. Last week, I started to see some of Republican federal races. Well, tomorrow we're going to throw in a few town council races as well. So look for my sign there. And if you want a sign to display in your yard, please just reach out to me. I'm happy to drop one off, and I appreciate you sharing those. The other thing going on this week is that on Saturday evening at 7:30 p.m., um, Signe Friedrichs, myself, and possibly a couple other candidates, I'm still waiting for some RSVPs, are going to be at the Eldon Street Tea Shop out back in the tea garden um, to meet people, socially distanced, mask, etc., and also answer questions that they may have. So if you're free Saturday night, we'd really love to see you there. Again, it's Eldon Street Tea Shop, 7:30 p.m. Saturday night. And that's about what I got for you this week. Um, as always, if you've got questions, comments, concerns, please reach out to me. I really do want to hear them and have a chance to try to answer them. The other thing is, right now we're trying to figure out our strategy for the rest of the month. And part of that is how much money we have on hand. So if you were thinking about giving to the campaign financially, now really is a good time to do it because it will allow us to know how much funding we have and therefore can set our strategies appropriately. You can donate to the campaign at www.porterforherndon.com or just reach out to me for instructions or alternate payment methods. So I want to keep these fairly short. Um, if no one has any questions, which I don't see any, we'll go ahead and call it an evening, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you.